This is the running story from Marathon Handbook, and today we're doing a special episode to break down what Jessy and I think is probably going to be the biggest race in 2026, which is big words considering Jessy in 2026. We've already had two sub-2-hour marathons in London. We've also had a significant course record in Boston. And yeah, the race that we're referring to isn't Chicago, it isn't New York, it isn't Berlin, it is Valencia. So we're going to get into this whole race. We're going to break it down. We're going to talk about why this is such an interesting race and how it's become what it is. Jessy, maybe we start first with the announcement yesterday. What did we learn yesterday? What's going on here?
Yeah, so the Valencia Marathon, I mean, I saw it first on John Korir's Instagram, but then I went to the Valencia Marathon Instagram. And maybe that's a dead giveaway, but Valencia has announced not their full elite field, but their headliners. And holy moly, it's going to be, like you said, it could arguably be the race of the year. So they've already announced Yomif Kejelcha, who, as we know from London, was the second guy to run sub-2, and that was in his debut. We've also now got John Korir, who, if you don't know, ran a course record in Boston, 2:01:52, which is massive. We've got Alex Mutiso, who's a world major marathon winner. He's a 2:03 guy. We've got Dawit Wolde, who's also a 2:03 guy. And we've got a big group of 2:04 runners as well. They also announced some big runners on the women's side. And I think the one I'm most excited about, which I think we all should be more excited about, she's been kind of under the radar since her really big breakthrough in Barcelona, is Fotyen Tesfay. She has run the second fastest marathon for the women in history, only behind the very questionable Ruth Chepngetich world record that still stands on paper. Barcelona this year, she came out in her first marathon, ran 2:10:52. We've also got Joyciline Jepkosgei, who won last year in 2:14 flat. America's M. Sisson will be there. She's a 2:18 runner. And then, yeah, we've got another big group of runners around that 2:20 mark for the women's side.
So Valencia have made no bones about the fact that they're trying to be the fastest marathon out of these big marathons, and they're looking for a world record. And I think they've set something up here, especially with, for me at least, looking at this, you've got Korir and Kejelcha. They are both super nice guys, but it's like a face-off I see heading in December. Let's dig into this little jewel that we've potentially got set up. Tell me more about these two and why it's such an interesting combination of runners. Because we don't, often in these big races, you get one or two really fast runners, but this feels like they're intentionally stacking the field, maybe to push each other to do something amazing come December.
Yeah, well, they announced Yomif Kejelcha about a month ago officially that he was going to be in Valencia running. And, that was their big headliner. That was the big news. But then we reached out to Valencia, the organization. We got a reply from the CEO himself, and he said, now the most important part is finding people who can run with him, who can push Yomif Kejelcha, because we know in London, him and Sawe running together was a really big factor for that sub-2-hour performance. So, we needed someone else who can challenge him, and John Korir is the perfect guy. He ran that massive course record in Boston, and Boston is a challenging course. It's hilly. Valencia is the complete opposite. It is pan flat. We've got cool temperatures. So it's the perfect stage for these two to come and push each other. So I think that's where John Korir comes in. They're going to want to be pushing each other all the way to that finish line to try and run another sub-2 and break that world record again.
A funny thing is, I have sympathy for both of these guys. John Korir, because he broke the Boston Marathon course record by over a minute this year. And then 6 days later, the sub-2-hour marathon was broken, so they kind of stole his thunder. And then Kejelcha was the second guy in the world to run a sub-2-hour marathon by 11 seconds behind Sebastian Sawe. So if there had been a split-second difference that day, Kejelcha could have been the first guy to ever break 2 hours, and we'd be having a very different conversation. I also feel like both of these guys, from what I've seen of them, they both have this very driven but humble mindset that I think is going to be interesting to see play out as they battle each other in December. Kejelcha especially just feels like this unproven guy he's nailed the half marathon. He's run a grand total of 1 marathons, and it was sub 2 hours. So it feels like we've still got a lot to see from Kejelcha. So yeah, I'm all in on this one.
Yeah, I mean, Kejelcha has said that his favorite distance now is the marathon. And I think now that he's had time to actually experience it, he has months now from the end of April to December. He has months now to build on that experience and train exactly for Valencia. And we know he's going to have the top coaches, the top sports scientists all backing him. So I really think they can kind of dial in now on that experience. And he is going to be racing in between a half marathon in Buenos Aires as well. So he's going to keep his kind of racing legs, his racing mindset fresh. So yeah, I think he's setting himself up really well. And another thing I think as well that's really good is he's racing after Sawe does in Berlin. So I think that also kind of gives him that benchmark a bit, It's not like he's, when you're always up first to perform or something, you don't know what the benchmark is. And, he's got the benchmark for himself, but he's also going to see that kind of head-to-head competitor and where he's sitting. So I think that also kind of plays to his advantage a bit as well.
Yeah, he lets Sawe go first and see how it goes. I'm sure in the months leading up to Valencia, we're going to have all kinds of speculation as to the shoes, the gel, all the little trinkets and tricks these guys are going to be rolling out. We know that Kejelcha ran in the sub 100 gram new version of the Adidas super shoes. We know that John Korir is an ASICS guy and has been running in, I think, Metaspeed prototypes. We also know that Kejelcha has been using lactate gels, which is kind of bleeding edge nutrition technology. So this feels like the moment for all of this stuff. Everything is pushing the boundaries, and we've got 2 of the best guys in the world at it. So yeah, feels like the whole marathon running world is hurtling into December with like all eyes on it. I want to get into the prize pot, why that's so interesting, and then more about the race itself and how it's become this amazing thing. But I think I do want to ask you, who else do you see on this list that are potential challengers, not just Korir and Kejelcha? And let's dig into the women's field a little bit and see, where do you see this one going?
Yeah, I mean, for the men, I think Alex Mutiso is also a bit of a dark horse. He's another quiet competitor, but he's very experienced. He's won a major marathon. He has a 2:03:11 PB. So I think, we haven't really seen too much of him in a while or any big headlines. So I think he might be coming in as a bit of a dark horse, but you never know what could happen on the day, especially if he's had a really good block leading up to this. He's got good competitors. He'll want to stay there. It's kind of like, he could be like Yomif Kejelcha coming in when he came in for his debut. We didn't really know what to expect of him. I think Alex Mutiso is a bit the same, We don't really know what to fully expect from him because he's kind of on the fence with that PB where he could potentially, if he's had a good blocks and has good tech and everything, stay in that front group. But maybe if it's a bit too fast, then he falls off. So I think we could see him go either way, but it would be great to see 3 guys up in that lead group. I think that would help all of them all around. On the women's side, I'm absolutely stoked to see Fotyen Tesfay. I spoke with her agent earlier this year as well, and it's no secret. She made it no secret that they want the world record. They were planning a fall marathon at the time that I spoke to them. They hadn't confirmed which one. My guess was either Berlin or Valencia because they're both fast courses. She wants the world record. And I kind of also thought Berlin because she is an Adidas athlete. Yep. But she seems to be following the exact same kind of roadmap as Yomif Kejelcha because she is also actually running Buenos Aires half marathon. So it seems like they're both on the same kind of path. So yeah, but I think if she's got a good group and good pacers as well, because in Barcelona, she actually outran her pacers, but if they set up good pacers for her, I think it's a big possibility that she could break the world record as well. I think Joyciline Jepkosgei, she's also one to watch. She won Valencia last year. She's got a 2:14 flat, which at the time was the fastest marathon for women of the year at that time. So yeah, I think if she has someone to chase, that could be really promising for her as well.
Yeah, it would be a great news story if Tesfay was able to break that the women's marathon world record, not just for breaking the world record, but also because that world record is, as you and Michael have covered a lot, it's fairly tarnished. We kind of know that there was very likely doping behind Ruth Chepngetich 2:09.56, and it would be great to just wipe the slate clean from that. So all eyes on Tesfay too. Okay. You've spent a lot of time, you've been at Valencia last year. You covered it last year. You've spent a lot of time, you've talked to the CEO, you've been reporting on it a lot. Why has this race become what it is? Become this weird, it's not a world major marathon, which we'll get into, and it doesn't seem to be going that way, but it's becoming this spectacle event, this can't miss event that's drawing more and more big names in. What's going on?
This race for me is one of the most intriguing marathons in the world because, like you said, it's not a world major, but they bring in the biggest names in the game, as we're seeing right now. A big part of that is they're just dead set on being the world's fastest marathon, and they have the course to do it. It's pan flat. Mm-hmm. They do it at a great time of year. It's in the south of Spain in December, so it's perfect cool temperatures, But they also have an incredible prize pot. So they have the single biggest performance bonus road running has ever seen. 1 million euros, which is about 1.6 million USD, to whoever breaks the world record. So they've made it no secret that they want to see the world record broken in their city. And it's kind of the brainchild of Juan Roig, who's this billionaire behind the Trinidad Alfonso Foundation, who's one of the big backers of the race. He's kind of bankrolled this for decades. Mm-hmm. And he has said outright many times that his dream is to see the world record fall in his city. So that's a big thing. Their prize structure is even built for speed because it's kind of this like sliding scale of you have to win, but you also have to hit a certain time to win this amount of money. So everything is built around speed and fast times for this race. So that's what makes it so intriguing. But it's not kind of shiny and big and bright like a world major. You know what I mean? It's not trying to be this big, bright kind of spectacle,
We'll put a link into your interview with the CEO, which was an article. It was a written interview. And it's interesting for a few reasons, a few of the answers the guy gives, but one of them is just because he's pretty blunt. He says, we're not interested in becoming a world marathon major. For one, it's too expensive. But he's also extremely, you could say audacious, just saying, we want to be the fastest marathon in the world. Y punto, as they say in Spain. This guy, Juan Roig, he's basically the Sam Walton of Spain, like the Walmart guy. Yeah. There's a chain of supermarkets, Jesse, you know them, right? Mercadona, that this guy built up. It's like this, anybody in Spain is where you go for all your staples, tons of fruit and veg. The guacamole is really good. And so he's become a billionaire, and he's in his late 70s. He lives in Valencia. He's from Valencia. So it's quite a cool story in itself, seeing this guy really champion this and really just be very black and white, saying, we want to do something super cool for our city. As you say, a lot of the world marathon majors, they're playing a slightly different game. They're maybe trying to bring in athletes that are have bigger reputations, bigger social followings, more American athletes, more of a spectacle, maybe more marketing and different brand partnerships. Valencia does have some of that, but it's like, no, we're not letting anything, the A-tier objective here is speed. Let's break some records. And it's a super cool proposition.
Yeah, I think that they're not trying to be a spectacle. They're not trying to be a world major. They're trying to just have pure racing. And we can see that beyond the elite racing as well, is people are seeing that more and more, and people want to run fast times because now this race for the first time this year went into a ballot, whereas before it wasn't. So, the demand for fast racing, that's what people want to see. And yeah, I think at the end of the day, people want to see a fast time. We want to see people break world records. And that's exactly what Valencia is trying to do. They're not paying any attention to the fluffy extras. They're just here to have people run fast times. And I think that's super exciting. And like you said, they aren't really building a national scene. A lot of the world majors like Boston, New York, Chicago in the US and London in the UK, they take the majors and they use it as a chance to also build this pipeline and this stepping stone for their national elite field. Valencia, we're not really seeing that as much. They just care about bringing the fastest people, and they'll pay top dollar to get these fast people. We even, when we spoke to the CEO of the Valencia Marathon, we kind of bluntly asked him, be like, we know appearance fees are kind of a thing with elite runners. Are you willing to tell us? Of course he wasn't. It's a private agreement. But he did say, we're paying a sub 2 hour marathoner what a sub 2 hour marathoner should be paid. So we can kind of assume he's getting top dollar to be at this race. And we can kind of assume that with the other athletes as well. So yeah, it's incredible to see. They're not worried about the spectacle. They're just going to be paying top dollar for top athletes to run top times. So I think that's really exciting. And yeah, everyone here, the athletes, the backers, the organizers, they're all in it for this time. So I think that's really exciting as well. It's less about kind of the media and the flivorous things as well. So
yeah, it feels like they're zigging while everybody else is zagging. I can totally see obviously the World Marathon Major is a different thing, but it becomes, I think very much of the London Marathon, it becomes a festival for the whole city in itself over many days. And I'm sure Valencia has a degree of that, but at the same time, they're not letting anything get in the way of what they see as their priority, which is speed, which is super cool. Okay, a few quick fire points. Who's your money on in the men's race?
Who's my €1,000,000 on? I think it's going to be a big battle between John Korir and Yomif Kejelcha in the men's race. But at the end of the day, I think it's going to be Yomif Kejelcha. I would love to see, my ideal day in Valencia would be that both John Korir and Yomif Kejelcha run sub 2. But I think Yomif Kejelcha will come out on top. Who do you have for the men's race?
Yeah, it's bad podcasting to just agree with you, but Kejelcha, I also just like him. I like Korir a lot as well, but Kejelcha just seems so humble and like he's just kind of like broken out into the scene, and suddenly he's completely firing. And as we've said, he was 11 seconds behind, becoming the guy to break sub 2.
Yeah.
So we'll see. It's going to be an interesting battle.
Yeah.
On the women's side, who are you looking at?
I've gotta put my €1,000,000 on Fotyen Tesfay. I think you kind of saw that one coming, but not only is she kind of the top seed athlete, but she's also a bit like Yomif Kejelcha in that she only has one marathon under her belt. She has so much. She has the opportunity to learn so much from that, but still come in kind of naive. I think that being a bit naive can almost help them in this case, take a bit of the pressure off. So yeah, I think that's definitely my girl for the women's field. And yeah, speaking to her agent, they seem pretty confident that she has the ability to break that world record. And especially if they set up good pacers for her, which, as we can kind of guess, I think Valencia will absolutely do. They'll put the money in to get her the pacers she needs to bring her out at that world record pace. So yeah, I've got to say my money is also on the second fastest marathoner in the world, Fotyen Tesfay.
And we should say that the full field has not been announced yet. So do you think we're going to see more big names jumping in come the full announcement in October? Or do you think they're going to be filling out the sort of B and T tier fields with pacer type runners?
I mean, I know that in the men's field, they did say they have quite a big group of 204 men to still announce. But I think overall, I don't think we're going to see any really big standout names now. I think these are the headliners and these are the people that we're going to watch. And I think the rest will be, like you say, kind of those B or C tier elite athletes. But yeah.
It's also interesting. I'm just speculating here, but you wonder how much the shoe brand contracts end up having a play here. I might be wrong, but I don't see many Nike athletes on this list. Is that right or wrong? I'm just wondering if, I know Nike's talking about a new mega super shoe, and I wonder if they're saving it all for their own race in Chicago.
Yeah, I was about to say, Nike does have their fall marathon in Chicago, and that's usually where we see their athletes. Like when we saw the late Kelvin Kiptum, we saw him. We did see Ruth Chepngetich, also a Nike athlete at the time in Chicago. So I think they're very brand oriented and will want to see their athletes at a fall marathon in Chicago at their marathon. We have Adidas athletes, Kejelcha and Tesfay. They're both Adidas athletes. John Korir and Joyciline Jepkosgei, they're also ASICS athletes. So we're not seeing really any Nike athletes in this field here. So
one last point. We're both going to be in Valencia on the 6th of December.
Yes.
Pumped?
I'm really excited. I was there last year and it was a bit of a last minute kind of move on our part, but it was super exciting. It's a really, at least from the inside, a really well organized event, and all the staff and organizers there are really friendly, and the vibe, the atmosphere was really awesome. So to cover it from the inside will be really amazing. I know you're going to be on kind of the other side on the start line, Thomas, which is really exciting. Are you going to share maybe a breaking news here? Do you have a goal time?
I'll save that for the official announcement in October, along with the rest of the field. But no, if I get round, I'm one of the benefits of doing Valencia is I'm thinking maybe there's going to be a big group of people that'll kind of pull me around. So we'll see. But yeah, I was very lucky. Just through the ballot, I managed to get dorsal, as they say here in Spain. So training's underway. The pressure's on. So we'll see how it goes. The slight fly in the ointment for me is that we will be in Texas that week for the running event. So I'm kind of nervous about the travel, and also ended up drinking a few beers with you guys. I know for a fact Mike will lead me astray. So I'll maybe have to figure that one out. I don't know.
I did the travel last year, and you're just running on pure adrenaline at that point, which isn't always a bad thing. You'll feel it afterwards for sure, but
maybe you and I, instead of going for a beer, we go for what is it? A Blizzard? What's it called?
A Dairy Queen. They don't have those. Oh, maybe they do. A Dairy Queen Blizzard.
Right, let's do it.
Deal.
Instead of the IPA with Michael, we'll go for the Blizzards.
Excellent. I like it. We'll do it.
Jesse, well, this is a race. I think anybody listening to this has realized we're all in on this race. We think it's going to be I think it's going to be the race of the year, which is, bold statement.
Big claim.
So I think anybody following Marathon Handbook and the running story, you're going to be hearing more as this race approaches, and we'll be covering it in detail on race day.
Talk to you later, Thomas.
Talk to you later, Jesse.